I literally just finished watching the episode where they announced who's going to make it to the finals of Love Island. So I'm like emotional, but not emotional. Side note, I hate my makeup. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. So first of all, I just finished a vendor event. I got this cool this chain for my glasses, and then these new earrings. One's black and one's white. I love it. It's my vibe. I was like, she's cute. She's alt. This is my new merch. And I wanted to go darker, but I feel like I went too dark. Like, I feel like I went a little too dark for what I wanted to do. And like, this eye is just not everything that I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be more. And then I didn't have all of my makeup on top of that. So it was like a day. What do they say? A day was had. A day was had. A day was had. And I'm leaving a vendor event. I didn't make over $100, which sucks. My goal was definitely like 300. And when you don't even make anywhere near your goal, it really, really fucking sucks. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I met some cool people. I got some cool things. I really couldn't afford the things that I got. But like, for me, when the vendor events are like small and we're really not making a lot of money, I actually really like supporting more and going and showing up and like supporting other people's stores. Like, cause people do that to me and it's kind of like a keep going kind of moment. And so I really, really like that. So it's been, I don't know. We got things to talk about. So let us run that take. And of course it was the wrong one. Let's run the right one. Welcome to another episode of Basically Unbothered. Hi, Unbothered fam. I am exhausted. I think I just smudged it under my eye. I'm so tired. I don't even know if you guys can like tell. No concealer on, like she tired. I had a big night at Mothfire, which is like the job that I have. It was our anniversary and balls to the walls, line out the door from basically the moment I walked in. So when I say I'm exhausted, I truly mean that. I am so tired. And then I basically woke up today and got ready and got here. No, and there's so much to talk about as well. So like, we're going to have to lock in. Like I'm gonna have to lock in. And then people want me to go out to eat afterwards. I guys, I like, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not isolate. And the worst thing is that I listen back to these clips and then I can immediately think of the word that I can't think of in this moment. Uh, Oscillate. I immediately oscillate between like, I want to go out and be social and I don't want to be social at all. And like right now I don't want to be social at all anymore. I really want to hang out with my friends. I really want to like eat some good food. But at the same time, I'm so tired. I'm so burnt out. Like 5 hour, 4 hour bending thing, getting up, not really having time for myself, not really getting to my emotion, then leaving there immediately coming here because I wanted to give you guys, like I said, I wasn't going to do the Love Island and cover Friday's episode, but I really, really, really wanted to give you guys Friday's episode. So I waited to record this. And then also so I could actually spend more time with my mom. Cause on Friday we went to the Tigers game, which was so much fun. It was a networking event with Bamboo. And I really, really, really enjoyed it so much. I like way more. I don't want to say way more than I thought I was going to, but definitely more than I thought I was going to. And I got to meet a cool new owner of a brand that is super cool. She makes like hair screen or hair block. Hair block is what it's called. And looking at how the game and today has like fried my hair. I'm in the philosophy like, yeah, I could definitely use some of that for sure. But it's been crazy. We got new stuff going on. I'm going to be doing a special episode for Project Runway for episode 1 and episode 2. And then Project Runway is going to be our next series that we're covering. Don't worry, I'm still watching Criminal Minds, and I have a lot less to say about Project Runway, so hopefully we can get some other things in here as well, because Love Island, there's so many episodes that it just takes up so much of my time to like get into you and get that in front of you that I really haven't been able to cover it. And it's been exciting, but I am also ready to kind of just like let the chapter close. A month, 6 weeks, however long this is, that's a long time. We've been going down this journey for a long time, but we're going to get to our Love Island stuff. We got some stuff to talk about first. Some of the things I just don't really care about, but they're worth mentioning a little bit. And some of the things I very much care about. So let us see what we got going. All right. Our first topic today is Taylor Swift's wedding. Taylor Swift gets married. You all know I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. But even this, it's just because, like, as much as people don't want to admit it, Taylor Swift is definitely like the like photograph example of white privilege, and her and Travis Kelce are. And I know that there's things that Taylor Swift has done and come out and said against the Trump organization or whatever, but she's never really come out to say that. And even her fans have asked for her to like come out and say something, and she's never, never, never done it. Not like outright. And so I'm just not with her. I am always going to be fans that come out and stand up against whatever. She obviously isn't doing it because she feels like it will isolate some of her fans, because she does have a lot of Republican fans. And that is also another big issue. And I don't like, and it's like something I have to remind myself, I don't like creators, I don't like artists who are only catering to like their fan base and then not really being true to who they are. Like, this just, it's not my vibe. Anyways, so she had her wedding, and once again, we're talking about like her privilege standing, and she has a lot of money. She decided to have her wedding, and I think it was Times Square. So let's look this up, because she got a lot of hate for it because it was during the holiday weekend and people literally couldn't get to where they needed to go because they were blocking the streets. Madison Square Garden. They were blocking the streets. And people couldn't get to where they needed to go during this holiday weekend. And that's like the first, sometimes I think that a lot of what we like care about celebrities are just bullshit. Like some of the stuff that we care about, like even with Taylor Swift stuff, to me is just kind of like bullshit. Like I don't care. Taylor Swift had her wedding. Who the fuck cares? Like, not on my radar. And people making like this big, big deal about it. But I will say, having it in Madison Square Garden and not recognizing like who you are, how, like what that's going to look like to shut this down. Like, I don't care. We all have dream venues. And sometimes, guess what? Our dream venues don't work out. And we have to learn how to move on from that. And it's giving I got too much money and I don't understand that like people don't. And this is the part where I felt like people were kind of complaining about it a little bit too much, was that during that time there was a heat wave and her wedding was going on when people couldn't afford like air conditioning. And I don't think that that's fair, because there's no way that she could have planned that her wedding specifically would have happened during this time. But I do think that it's wild to have it during a holiday weekend. And we all know, I don't even like New York. And I know that when it's this holiday weekend, people are going out of town, people are going places, people are trying to go see their family, people are leaving. And maybe that's what she thought originally, like, oh, people are going to be leaving, so it's not going to be that big of the deal. We can have like this whole island for myself. But like, she didn't consider what it would look like during. So I think she had it the day before the 4th of July. And that's usually like that Friday is usually when people are leaving. So I don't think that she thought it through. And I think that that part is the part where I'm like, okay, clearly you weren't thinking here. Clearly, like, thought lost your mind. And those are the parts that really upset me, is that, like, you do still have to consider the general public. And I mean, I'm guessing people have weddings in Madison Square Garden. I don't fucking know. I want a wedding on a beach. I don't even want a real wedding. I just want like a commitment ceremony. It could even be to myself. I just want it on a beach. Like, I don't want the pomp and everything, but that's what people are fussing about. For me, I already knew who she was, so none of this surprised me. It just is what it is. All right, our next topic is that author, and I'm going to say this wrong, and I'm so sorry. Tomi Adeyemi, who wrote the book Children of Bone and Blood. And it has been really, people have been talking about it a lot because it's getting a movie adaptation. And they were originally excited because she helped write the screenplay for it, and she was supposed to be involved in, directly involved with all of this. She has announced that she's not going to be supporting or promoting the adaptation of her book. There were issues with directors and producers, and there were things about like casting, and like, this is something that I want my authors in that sphere to know, is that when you option your book and someone decides they want to make it and you sell that option for them to make it, they can say that you will be a part of this, the making of it. But unless you're like really truly getting a full production and putting up that money for it, it's not happening. They're still going to have a say on casting. They're still going to have a say on everything. And this is not just like you writing the book. If anybody wrote a screenplay, they can change your screenplay around as it seems fit for the movie. Um, as a director, you may have an idea of how you want the movie to go, and the producers can come and say, like, hey, actually, no. Like, no, that's actually not how this is going to go. And that's a thing. Like, that's something that is the reason why I got out of the film industry, because that is not something that they talk about to you, that most of the media knows. And this came up, and I got into big fights about this when it was the Justice League thing. And Josh Whedon took over for, oh, I can't remember his name now, but he took over. Oh, Zack Snyder. And everybody was so upset, and they're like, this just feels like he changed everything. And I was like, he did what he was paid to do. He legitimately did what he was paid to do. The producers probably brought him on because they didn't like the Zack Snyder cut. They thought it was too dark. They thought it wasn't going to connect with this audience that's looking for humorous, action hero, witty kind of things. Like, Zack Snyder films are dark. And honestly, sometimes you have to like look within the within to fully understand them. And so people got really upset at Josh Whedon. They're like, Josh Whedon ruined this movie. And I used to be like, no, he didn't. The producers ruined this movie, because we don't realize how much like actual and true power these producers have. And that's something that like needs to be in the forefront of your mind. And I'm not like shaming her for not supporting it. I feel that like, if this is not what you wanted it to be, I get it. But we also have to remember, there is not going to be a single book adaptation that is going to look like what the book looks like. It's just not possible. The way that books are written can be written in many different forms and many different act structures or whatever. But movies usually have to, especially like movies like this, usually have to follow a format, and it has to fit in a way that readers and people who've never read the book or just watching for the first time can relate to it and make the story like come together. And this is, we talk about this in Harry Potter and Immortal Instruments and the Hunger Games and everything like that. Things get changed all the time because they don't make sense on film, or because there's too much and they got to take some things out. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. The Maze Runner, they took out something that was so important in the first part of the book, or the first book, that when they got to the second movie, they had to completely pivot and change everything because the book was built on this one point that they took out of it because they didn't know how to translate that onto film. And so, I don't know the inner workings. I know that they're one of the actresses who's been confirmed. I think it's Amanda Siegfried. No, why am I thinking of her and I'm not? Amandla Stenberg. She is supposed to play Princess Amari in the film adaptation of Children of Blood and Bone, released in January 15. She has gotten a lot of backlash because of her skin color and because people are feeling like they're whitewashing the skin color of the characters that are supposed to be darker. They're supposed to be more of an African, adaptation. And I think that maybe that's one of the things that they feel. But here's another thing that you have to understand, especially when we're talking about these book adaptations. In a lot of movies right now specifically, they need an actor that's going to sell it. They need an actor that you're going to watch and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go see this movie because of you. Legitimately. Like, you could be like, oh, this is cool. But if they stock it with actors and actresses you do not know, you still might not go see the movie. And maybe the book lovers will go see the movie, but the movie lovers won't go see the movie. And you're supposed to be kind of merging these two audiences. And so you need actors that are going to sell this movie. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know the inner workings or inner depths of like why, the hows, or whatever's. I'm just saying like this is actually a thing. And I love that we're talking about it now because now we're talking about it. Now we're actually having a conversation about the things that actually take to get put into a movie and to get a book made into a movie and like what those things are and what actors and producers and directors and all these people are actually looking for. I want my book to be a movie, but I'm also quite aware of what that industry looks like. And it's not just because she's an African American woman. There is Ready Player One is one of the worst book adaptations I've ever seen in my life. And some of it was because of copyright issues, that he didn't have an issue with the book, but he had an issue with the movies. And they had to change so many things. But because they changed so many things, the movie to me was terrible. This is just what happens. Like, if you've been in this game for a really long time, you know. And a lot of people don't. And so I'm sorry that she doesn't support it. And I'm sorry that it isn't working out the way that she wants it to. I feel like there has to be a compromise because at the end of the day, ideally you still make money from this. So like, how can we find compromises? How can we find ways to like accept it? And it's a gut punch to know that these characters that you viewed and seen this way. And I'm doing audiobooks. And one of the hardest things for me, like nowhere near that, one of the hardest things for me doing my audiobook was I imagined Moonstone's voice kind of like mine, right? And the people that I like optioned for or like asked for auditions, they had a lower voice. So Moonstone's voice is actually going to be a lot lower. And you're going to be like, wait, your voice is already like, it's going to be lower. And I wanted her to have more like of a childlike type of thing. But I do realize that they're reading in the main character voice and you usually use your voice for the main characters. So I've had to let go of what I thought my main character should sound like to get this done. And I think that the audio, I'm like getting irritated. But yeah, so we just need to like get to the place. Like it's hard. It sucks, but we definitely have to accept it. This is still the reality. Until we can get like the money and the finances to make the movies ourselves, then we could have a different thing. And that's a different conversation. Maybe you could get the money and finances to produce it yourself, and then you could have a whole different conversation. But that's just kind of not how the industry works. All right, our next topic is the menfolk be menfolking. The menfolk are definitely menfolking, and I wish the menfolk stopped menfolking, but they keep menfolking, and I just don't know what to fuck. I don't know what to handle. So DDG, whose name I never thought I would have to mention again in my life, has come out and said that men who watch Love Island are alone and gay. I think it's gay to watch Love Island. This is his quote, by yourself. If you're an inward and you watch Love Island solo, you must be bisexual. Let me just say something. I've never had somebody comment on what I do and whether it's gay or not gay unless they felt something about themselves. Because if you're sitting here wondering about what's gay or not gay, you're quite often contemplating your own motives and what you're doing, and if that's viewed as gay or not gay. Watching a TV show has no relation to your sexuality. Like I just want that to be clear. Okay. Um Specifically Love Island. Like Love Island is a reality TV show and highly rated TV show. And I have men in my comments all the time about how I feel about KC constantly, constantly talking about this man in my comments about how I feel about KC. Like, how would you, it's such a stupid comment. And it's one of those comments that they make to keep themselves relevant. Cause who the fuck was talking about DDG? Like your relevance became nothing as soon as you separated from Hallie. And as soon as everything came out and then that died down, your relevance was nothing. And you're trying to make yourself more relevant again. For what? For whom? We don't need to hear you. We don't care about your opinion. And like when I saw this, it was just so like, okay. Like it's also like the comment that I made a couple episodes ago about like the pride stuff and the giants and how like if it doesn't affect you, you just don't have to like support it. Like this is the part where pride is important because this nobody in the community is coming for him. Nobody in the community is like calling him gay or questioning his sexuality. Yet he is questioning other people's sexuality randomly for watching a TV show. And I say this and I stand by it. Whenever you do this, it always feels like projection to me because DDG must be watching Love Island in private. To be clear, you have to be watching Love Island in private to know what you think you know about people who watch Love Island. So then to say that then means that your statement is then about yourself. Because how do you know what type of people would watch Love Island if you don't watch it? And once again, why does the LGBT community have to be the backlash for you just not liking a show? You could just say, I don't like the show. It's not masculine enough for me, or it's just not entertaining enough for me, or I like more action based things. And nobody would care. Nobody would question you. Why do you feel the need to attack the community? It's because we don't like you. It's also probably because you might be closeted. And I'm not exposing anybody. I'm just saying people who make these comments are often quite closeted people. And who cares? Love Island is great. And more importantly, the things that happen on Love Island are quite often for the men folk. All the making out on Love Island, all that shit, I literally skip it, close my eyes. I don't need it. The licking up and down. No. Who do you think that's for? Like, really? Who do you think? And most of these challenges are the women doing this to the men. It's very pornographic. Who who do you think? Okay. So what is it about Love Island that you think is bisexual? Is it the fact that men actually go on the show to find love? Because I think that that's just human connection and desire. I don't know. Men folk be men folk. And quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it costs everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. All right, I'm getting tired. We're pushing through. We're pushing through. We got Taylor Frankie Paul updates. Okay. It's been pretty quiet. I feel like I've been pretty quiet about this. There have been kind of things that have gone on, but this last week has been like insane. I think the week before we talked about her releasing these stories and, coming out to say all of these things are happening. But now we're getting Mormon wives drama. We're getting court drama. We're getting crew drama. And it's just crazy. So Taylor Frankie Paul goes to court. There was a thing brought up about her son being on a mortar bike at 2 years old, no car seat, just an helmet on, riding in the front of it. And Dakota's lawyer's like, yeah, we think that's fine. He has a helmet on. And the judge is like, he's 2. No. And like that just being a thing. And then, more times awarded. There's police stuff and mentioned. They're all supposed to be keeping each other's name out their mouths, essentially, not disparaging each other, because the judge says that the person that really hurts is the children. We've discussed how like Tate Paul has tried to get in the mix of this. We don't really know how that's looking in the media. He's been pretty quiet after that. But then Crew releases another video after Dakota doesn't get his way in court. And this video is really sad. And I want to say fuck you. And I mean that. I want to say fuck you to everyone who tried to come into my comments and make me feel bad and make me feel crazy about the things that I saw and other women saw in this situation. Because this video that Crew releases that he thinks is supposed to help Dakota has turned even Dakota fans against them. Because this video basically shows Dakota recording Taylor crying, not really doing anything physical, just crying, but like, this is real life. And you just see him taunting her. And she's like breaking down and being, please stop, okay, leave. There's a couple of times where and in the other video, there's times where she said, just leave. That's the crazy part. If you were in a situation and that person is just like, leave, go, get the fuck out. Why are we not getting the fuck out? Like, I'm confused. If she was hurting you and abusing you and you were claiming all of this and she's like, leave. And you're like, no, I need the world to see. You're not afraid. Afraid people would dip. Afraid people would leave. And this is coming from like my own story. One of the only reasons why I didn't leave in my situation is because I really truly had nowhere to go. I didn't drive there. I flew there. I wasn't even in the same state that I could fly out of. Like I would have to, like I got a round trip ticket. I would have had to fuck my round trip ticket and pay for another ticket from a different state to get, like there was so many things that were involved in this. And I still wanted to leave. And I was still questioning leaving and weighing the safety of it, right? And decided that I didn't know how the situation would have played if I tried to leave and I wasn't offered the leave. So like I didn't want to like chance it. But like it doesn't make him look good. And then one of Cruz's exes comes on and talks about how terrible of a human being he is, how he tried to put rat poisoning in his baby mom's food. There's supposed to be leaked text messages about them planning to like get Taylor locked up in jail so that they can have control of his son. Like it's sick. And it's everything that we said it was from the beginning. And people on the internet tried to make it not that way. And once again, this is why I say I'm going to believe the woman first. I just am. And y'all got pissed off about that shit. Y'all got so mad about that shit and y'all were like, this is danger. This is danger. My favorite thing when you guys don't like what I have to say is that you're like, they can just give anybody a mic to have a podcast. Let me just be really fucking clear, okay? First of all, yes, because all of those menfolk podcasts and those bro podcasts or whatever are terrible, but you love them. Second of all, I paid for this mic. No one gave it to me. Third of all, I paid for this whole desk that I'm at. So I own 3 businesses. Thank you very much. And my podcast has been going on for a year. So someone didn't just give me the mic randomly. I've earned it. And the fact that you see me on your feed is another proof that I've earned it and that you are looking for this exact content. So you're welcome. But stop trying to make it seem like I was being crazy this whole time. I was being right, is what I was being. I was being right. And it sucks to be wrong, but somebody's got to carry that torch, and it was fucking you. It was all of you who were like, no, Taylor's crazy. Also, I don't know if you remember last episode, it was said in one of these text messages that have come out that we don't know if they're alleged right now. But it was also said in Taylor's video, she never hit her daughter with the chair. It was actually Dakota with his phone when he threw his phone. So this whole video that was made to seem like she's a terrible mom and she child endangered and her kid got hurt, it wasn't even her fault. And she still took the blame for it and took responsibility because she was the one that threw the chair. Y'all got me flipped, twisted, and backwards. Like, whatever. It's okay. These men are clearly out to get her. And I say men and talking about these specific 2 men right now, maybe 3, are clearly out to get her because they cannot control her. And Taylor has now filed a civil injunction, a civil stalking suit against Crew because he literally makes videos about her all the time. He's in everybody's comments. He's stalking her. Y'all are obsessed with this woman, but y'all claim that y'all don't like her. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And then on top of that, she's going through all of this. The videos come out on her story last week. Everyone's coming out to support her. Domestic abuse advocates are coming out to support her. And what did the Mormon wives do? Mock her. Mock her because they don't like the fact that she claimed that she's the creator of Mom Talk. And the funny part is on TikTok, the consensus, and on Instagram, the consensus is whether people don't like Taylor or not, she's the name that they know synonymous with Mom Talk before anybody. I didn't know Whitney was in Mom Talk. I didn't know Layla was in Mom Talk. I didn't know any of these girls were in Mom Talk except for Miranda and Taylor. And so everybody's like really upset about that. And it's just kind of like, if I could do petty or facts, is it petty or is it fucking facts? It's fucking facts. She was one of the original people who created this. Now, you guys may come along, but also to be clear, the show is nothing without you guys. You know, I posted this and I mean it. Like, we don't want to see these picture perfect or struggling lifestyles that we see. Like, there are girls that are on there that are struggling. Michaela, who I'm not a big fan of right now, but I have been in the past. We know that she has her health conditions, and that's a good side storyline. And the stuff going on with her husband are good side storylines. None of you, except for Jesse, has the life to carry a main storyline. Whitney, you don't have it. Legit, like, you just don't have it. Like, as much as we like it or not, there are people who have star quality and there are people who don't. And being able to show your messiness, your ugliness, be open, those are the things that make reality TV shows. Like, that's it. When you're willing to show it all, and sometimes it costs you yourself, and then eventually you learn where you can, pull back and get other areas and maybe do a little bit differently. But for the most part, that's a reality TV show. We didn't like Jersey Shore because there were 6 people, 8 people working at a t-shirt shop. We like Jersey Shore because they were fucking insane. But they were messy and they were human, because what we want to see in reality TV is reality, what life really looks like. And that is why The Secret Life of Mormon Wives has been credited at bringing back the reality TV sphere outside of the like Kardashian is, because it was their messy, true reality. And the person who allowed us to see most of that was Taylor. Without it, you're not getting a Taylor. But now we have them like Whitney doing videos. And here's the thing, and I wrote this in my notes, is that regardless of what Whitney's doing, Michaela's doing, double down, whatever, it feels so weird to me that even if there was drama and fighting and the girls couldn't get along with each other, that they can't seem to be not even nice, cordial, or respectful to Taylor as a woman enough to either support her or not take jabs at her when she's at her lowest. And like, that's the part that I think that they don't understand the most, is that the whole world is going to come for you. And whether you like somebody or not, like, we're women and womanhood is so important. And if you can't, like, to be clear, if women feel like you don't support women, whether they don't either, they're going to stop watching your show because your show is based on you guys supporting each other. And you can't just like peace out when shit's crazy and be like, oh, we're not going to support her anymore. I get not wanting to back her. I get being pissed off at her, but I can't imagine it. Even on the worst, biggest fight when my best friend did not show up for me for my surgery, even though she said that she was going to, bought the ticket and everything. And then we got into a fight and she didn't show up. I didn't bash her. I didn't go on social media. I didn't make comments. I didn't bash her. Cause at the end of the day, you were still somebody that I cared about. Why do I want to see you hurt? And so the question really truly to me is, why do you want to see her hurt? I get that you guys want to defend yourself and like you feel like her fans come and attack you, but it's also really weird that you make her responsible for what her fans do. Like, that's also really weird to me. No one is responsible for what someone else do. You're like, oh, you're egging your fandom on. I can't, like, I'm only calling out the truth. And then Michaela gets mad and she's like, oh, well, you say that you're supposed to be supporting you, you saying that she's attacking the girls and, why is she doing that? And if she really supported everybody, she'd be supporting this. Like, you guys haven't supported her. All of you have believed a man that y'all know was lying and trying to hurt her, believed him over her, and y'all still do, even though the world is seeing it all come out. And there was like a text message that said, does the girls know? And the message was like, no, they don't know, but I'm going to. This is crazy. And sometimes it is harder, like as society, sometimes it is harder for us to admit when we're wrong. I hate admitting when I'm wrong, but I do it because I was wrong. Like, I can't pretend that I'm right when I'm wrong. That's just not. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just want this all to end. Like, um, I don't want this to end badly. And I think that maybe I'm more hyper aware because of everything that I've been through. And maybe they aren't because they don't have the like intelligence. But like, it's hard to take accountability, but sometimes it's life changing. I get it. A lot of people, when they do something or they say something, they double down. And I was just listening to one of the guests that we had on the podcast, Garma, and she was Garma, and she was telling me that not telling me, but she had wrote about like comparing things to like Love Island and how sometimes, even though you are the right one, there's no one in the group that like wants you to be the right one. They're all kind of want to be solidified in their delusion. And it was about cognitive dissonance. It was about cognitive dissonance and how a lot of people can't handle that. And so when one person is coming and speaking out and the rest of the group just isn't, the rest of the group is actually going to send that person out. So sometimes the right person in the group isn't the main majority of the people, is that one person, but that one person threatens the like safety of the group think in that moment. And so they outcast that person in the group. And that's kind of what this feels like to me a little bit. Like, they are having this group think, and I think there are people in it who really, if they were like to sit down and question it really outside of the group, that they'd be like, okay, like even the TikTok that they posted with all of them there, and they're like, we're surviving, or whatever, Mom Talk survived or whatever. And it was a big job because Taylor was the only one that wasn't there. And it was done by Whitney, and it was just really inky. And I think that there were some people who thought about it, was like, oh, maybe this isn't right. And maybe they said something, everyone's like, yeah, it's okay. Or Taylor, fuck Taylor, whatever. And even though they didn't agree with it, they went along with it. And I think that's what's happening in this group. I don't think as many of those girls really believe that Taylor is this horrible, horrendous person. I think that they thought that originally and they really stood 10 toes down. And now they have to figure out a way to either correct what they did or make up for what they did. So we'll see what happens. I was having a good time not talking about Taylor Frankie Paul. And then all this craziness happens. But let's get off of Taylor Frankie Paul and let's get into some Love Island. So, quick question. Have you ever opened your to do list, looked it dead in the face, and then immediately decided that reorganizing your desktop, deep diving on YouTube, or starting a completely unrelated side quest was actually the better life choice? Yeah, same. And that's exactly why this week on Basically Unbothered, we're talking about something that doesn't yell at you to wake up at 5 a.m. or just be more disciplined like some productivity drill sergeant. We're talking about A Pinch of Productivity, the secret sauce for motivation by Don Turner. Because instead of shaming you into being productive, it gives you the pinch framework: pressure, interest, novelty, challenge, and humor. Translation: you're not lazy, your brain is just bored. This is about learning how to work with your brain instead of fighting it so you can actually finish the things you keep putting off without turning your life into a boot camp montage. So if your motivation bar has been sitting at low HP for a little too long, go check out A Pinch of Productivity wherever books are sold. And maybe, just maybe, we'll finally finish one task before starting 5 new ones. It's sad that when Love Island ends is when I finally figure out like my structure and how I want to talk about things, but I finally have it. So these last couple episodes of Love Island have been kind of boring. I'm not going to lie. And it felt like manufactured drama. There's been some crazy things like Parmita and Corbin being dumped. I didn't see that coming. As you know, I thought it was going to be Kinsey and Dylan. And there's a rumor that it was supposed to be Kinsey and Dylan, but they did the karaoke challenge and Kinsey and Dylan won the karaoke challenge. And that's why they stayed, because they were at the bottom three. And it would have made Love Island just a straight, basically minority island. And they were not really having that. So they kept Kinsey and Parmita and Corbin got dumped. And it was really sad. I mean, they left so chill. It was really sad to see Corbin cry and to see you know, just see how much it really meant to him. I by no means think that he was innocent, but honestly, out of all of the people who came from Casa and like were doing dirt, which is Sincere, Casey, and Corbin was the one that I was the least upset about. I mean, like he did Kinsey wrong, but their connection really was just a physical connection. Um and it that's just the truth, right? Like Kinsey and Corbin's connection were really physical, and to me, Corbin got to be like his honest self when he was with Parmita, and they were cute. They had fun. Um, but I did notice that they had one last fuckboy chat. So like Corbin, Sincere, and KC all had this thing. And I was annoyed that America gave KC this fuckboyness approval by keeping him there and making him not one of the couples that were threatened. It was like, that really fucking annoyed me because out of everybody, I guess like Sincere really did the most dirt, to be clear. But again, you have to check Germa out. She writes on Substack. I'll make sure I put her in the notes and the two posts that she made recently in the notes. But she mentioned like the worst person is not the devil that you see. It's the devil that you don't see. Like, we all kind of knew that Corbin was moving weird, whether we knew how it was. Everybody in the villa kind of had an idea. And even Melanie said, like, I kind of knew he was not being 100% truthful, but it was just the extent of. But with KC, my biggest issue with KC was from day one, he tried to be someone else because he wanted to stay on the island, and he played Aniya and he played everybody else. And then as soon as he found an ego booster, as soon as he found someone that he could, like, I don't know, that could make him feel good about himself, he completely annihilated Aniya. And like, there's a lot of people, Casey and Sierra got a lot of the black votes, and I was really frustrated. And I saw from like the after sun, because Casey and Tier have left the island on Friday night's episode. I saw from the after sun clips that Tiara was kind of blaming it because she was black, and it was, no, baby, we thought you were aggressive because you were aggressive. There are a lot of other black girls on that show. We thought you were aggressive because you were aggressive. Aniya is black, and I've never thought that she was aggressive a day in my life. Even when she was coming at KC, never. It was the energy that you were giving. It was the, like, my man, my man, my man, when you only knew him for two, like, shit like that. But those things, the lack of accountability in the villa will lead into a lack of accountability outside of the villa. And when we get to Family Day, we're going to definitely talk about that. But back to Kinsey. Kinsey, oh, by the way, another side thing. I loved Parmita checking Kinsey about the way that Kinsey moved and how Parmita stopped Corbin for picking her, but Kinsey made sure to pick Corbin for the least compatible challenge. And I was like, whatever. But Kinsey has been struggling. You can tell that she's just trying to have fun in the villa. This is coming off of when Melanie picked her and Dylan as the least compatible couple. And drumroll, she wasn't wrong, because a couple days later, those two got into it. Kinsey and Dylan, couple days after all of this happened, seemed so good. And then all of a sudden, it was like Dylan woke up overnight and was like, okay, how do I start drama with Kinsey? How do I make this thing? And he just started picking at her. And I get it originally, like, you have insecurities, you have things that she's done that isn't okay. We agree with you. Like, we are in agreement. But you're beating a dead horse, specifically because he will, like, let it go and be like, it's okay. And he was the one that was, insistent in all these things. And once she gives him what he wants, then he's like, everything. She gives them an exclusive relationship. We're together. I'm so sorry. I give you all these apologies, everything like that. And then he moves like, but my feelings are still hurt. After he's accepted all of it, after they had a couple of days truly good, all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's trying to make her, like, feel bad about things that she did, that he is accepted. And I really feel like Dylan feels like Kinsey's not really into it, and then he said that. And I don't know if he's, like, reading something else. Maybe she really isn't that into it. I'm not really sure, but, like, at a point, it's just kinda like, you guys are one of the last couples. Suck it up. And I would say that to a girl too, like, suck it the fuck up. But he honestly felt like he was just trying to make, like, problems, and he was upset that they would have been at the bottom, and he's making the bottom question Kinsey. And, like, Zach and Kata were also at the bottom. Zach didn't question Kata. Zach wasn't like, oh, is this Kata's fault? He was like, oh, wait, maybe like, he reassured Kata, oh, it's not you. And then he looked at himself, was like, oh, wait, maybe it's me. Maybe there's something in me that they see that they don't like. Maybe. I don't know. But, like, with Dylan, he just went straight to Kinsey, and it was like, maybe the world is seeing something that you're doing that I'm not seeing. You haven't, everything that you saw. She hasn't done anything else. And with whom is she going to do it? Gaul is gone. Everybody else is in a couple. Who do you think that she's about to go play around with? Like, I'm confused. There was just so much. And I felt like he was, like, looking for something and reasons. And because of that, he's just fucking up his own chances. He's creating his fight. He gets into a fight. He says everything he has to say. Then he feels like he doesn't say it. When Kenzie says, "Oh yeah, I want you to come meet my family," he said, "You said that before," and all of these things. How am I supposed to know it to be true? And this is not a negative thing. It's clear to me that Dylan has a little bit more feminine energy when it comes to relationships, which is not a problem. Kinsey also has a lot of feminine relationship like energy when it comes to relationship. And like they both need this like very words of affirmation, reaffirming thing. And it feels like that just won't mesh up. Like we're seeing the same things. Kinsey is fun and she wants to live her life and be free. And Dylan needs a lot of reassurance. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I want to be clear again. There's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't work out in this dynamic for their relationship, right? And it's Kinsey apologizing. And honestly, Kinsey fucked up a little bit. She did some shit. We're not okay with that. But like, nowhere near what the men are doing. Men are all forgiven. Kinsey's still here pleading and crying and everything like that. It came off weird. I've said from the beginning that something about Dylan was just weird. Dylan being on the show was just weird. I haven't seen the after sun, but I can also imagine the after sun with Dylan was just weird. The same way I can imagine that with Casey and Tierra. It was just weird. Next, we have like Zach and Kata's and the situationship. That part really frustrated me. Oh, I did want to mention Kinsey and Melanie did have a conversation. And it was really sad because, and I love that Melanie didn't just fall for the I'm sorry thing. Melanie apologized. Was like, "You're my girl. And because you're my girl and because you're my friend, I'm going to be 100 with you. And me being 100 with you doesn't mean that you're always going to like what I have to say, but I'm still going to be 100 with you. And because I'm being 100 with you, I'm going to tell you that I think that you're settling, that I think that you're giving up a part of who you are to do this thing right now. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to be the beautiful, bright, amazing person that you are and not just do that." And we saw Kinsey, her face when she closed it off with Dylan so soon. She did it just to make him happy. And that didn't make me okay. And that's a fuck girl thing for sure. But like the intentions, it was fucked. But then when Kinsey mentioned that and all that, and then Melanie goes like, "Yeah, but you know, when you said that we were best friends, that was weird because I feel like you haven't been my best friend since Soul." And I was like, damn, that's true. Kinsey really hasn't. Kinsey was out there chatting with Soul while all this stuff was going on, wasn't checking on Melanie, was spending more time with those girls. And, you know, she was like, and Melanie was like, "I get it. You wanted to make them feel like comfortable and everything like that. But why was it at the expense of us? Why was it at the expense of me?" And I feel like that's Melanie's like whole thing going on right now. Like with Sincere, you want to make Soul feel comfortable, but at the expense of me. You want to make Amore feel comfortable at the expense of me. And Kenzie, you want to make these people feel comfortable all at the expense of me. All in like just not giving a fuck about me. And I love that she said, I love that Kinsey apologized and was like, "I didn't even take it that way. I'm so sorry. It makes me really sad for you to think that." And that's like real, honest, open communication. Like menfolk, when we say we want honest, open communication, I want you to hear how both person addressed issues that they had with the other person. Neither person accused somebody just straight out. Neither person fought back and was like, "Oh, but you did this to me," in that sense away, or blah, blah. Like they really truly heard each other out, apologized, meant it, took accountability, and they were able to move on. Take note. All right, Kata and Zach. So Zach and Kata, they really struggled with like them being at the bottom, which completely understand. Also, can we just say that karaoke challenge was stupid? These last couple of challenges were just fucking stupid. I'm glad they have fun, but also like, most of y'all can't sing, and please never do it again. But they struggled when they found out that they were close to the bottom and they almost got voted out and they were saved because Islanders voted for them and not Parmita. But they were stressed about being almost voted off, and that was like the moment that was really real for me. I've got into it with a lot of people about Zach, and people saying that Zach really doesn't like Kata. And I've never felt that way. I felt like Zach likes Kata, but he really struggles with the fact that he likes Kata. And I've seen this in men before, where they have like either an anxious or avoidant. His might be like anxious avoidant attachment. And I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying from what it looks like on the screen, where like there's his avoidant definitely comes out where he gets excited, he really feels something, and then he says it, and then he realizes the implications of what that means, and then he tries to take it back. And so that's what a lot of people see, on the TV screen. And that's why they say they don't think he cares, because he says one thing and then tries to take it back. But one of the things I love about Kata is that she knows. Even when Zach asks her to be exclusive, and he was like, I'm not ready for girlfriend and boyfriend yet. One of the things that actually to me makes Zach and Kata a perfect match is that they know. Zach doesn't like Kata doesn't have to explain when Kata was upset about how the girls were reacting to the situationship and or calling it a situationship. Zach already knew. And Kata doesn't need Zach to give her this reassurance and false words. She knows how Zach feels about her, and she's perfectly comfortable with letting Zach take his time to get to there because she already knows. And to me, that's such a secure attachment. And that's actually an example of such a good relationship because and even when the girls are like, yeah, you're in a situationship. And she was like, no, this is what works for us. And what works for us doesn't work for you. She truly understands Zach. And she understands that he has limitations and he has to work through them. And I appreciate that because I'm the same way. I'm an anxious avoidant attachment person. I have limitations and issues, and it takes me a long time to warm up to someone, and someone has to be very patient and let me walk through it and walk through the small steps and not give it a title until I'm ready to give it a title, even though we're not doing, like that's a me thing too. So I definitely felt that when I watched Zach go through that. And I appreciate that Zach found someone who can go through it because Kata hasn't questioned their like moves and how he moves on the island, except from when he's with doing stuff with another girl and he's being like coy about it or not really being honest about it. Those are issues, but all the boys had those issues. She doesn't question him when he's talking about how he feels. Like that's a real, true, honest thing. She's not questioning how he feels about her. She knows exactly how he feels about her, and that's all that matters. She doesn't care if the world sees it. She doesn't care if the Islanders see it. She doesn't need to push pedal to the metal to define everything. That's what it is. And that's one of the reasons why I love it. Trinity calling it a situationship was probably the only time I didn't like Trinity. Although I understand her like reasoning with it and her being like, yeah, well, it feels like a situationship to me because these are things are going on and when these things are going on and the way I see it is it's just like you guys are together, but you're not really claiming each other. And situationship does have a really negative connotation. So I see why Kata was really pissed off. But I just wish that when Trinity realized that she was like, okay, maybe let me rethink this. And I like the conversation that they have afterwards. And once again, these women on this season, so opposite from what I saw about last season. And even from what I saw in season 6, these women right here have amazing communication skills. They haven't thrown anybody under the bus. They're always there for each other. And when they communicate their feelings, they really do. They feel them. They're allowed to feel them. And then when they figured it out, they go to each other. They have real conversations. Like this should be a class on how to communicate as friends. I wish that more of my female friends and I could communicate in this way. And I don't know if it's because we're in the scope of a show and we're all trying to make ourselves look a certain way. And that, like, to be real, that is still a scope of Love Island. But I will say that I love how they can have these conversations. And I wish more females and women could have conversations like that about their feelings without it being like a big drama or orchestra or whatever. But those are things that are fun. There's in the middle of all this, there's still fun things happening on Love Island. They're trying so hard to make these girls have fun. I said this to someone. I said to my coworker, I said, "Hey, they're working overtime to make sure that these girls have fun on Love Island because they have put them all through the ringer. They have put them through hell and they like gotta make it. They gotta make it right somewhere or another. So we have them here like trying so desperately hard to just do fun things now. So we had the karaoke challenge, the prank challenge. The prank challenge was so much fun to watch. And it was so much fun to see the girls do these things. And I love how Love Island like read the room. Like we really don't want to see anything else from the men. Like we're quite literally over them. They're quite literally giving everything we don't want to see in the menfolk right now. But them having the girls do it and they really feeding into the camaraderie that the girls have and then doing the prank challenge. Even like I thought that so from the clip of that episode, I thought that Dylan was going to be mad at Kenzie because her prank was that she had to have two people give her a back massage at the same time. These girls are so smart. They did it so smart. And Kenzie was, this is like what really frustrates me about it is because Kenzie was so considerate of Dylan while this was happening. Like she didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. So she was like, Dylan, you can do this too. You can be here. Carl, you're just here to help me get this kink out because I heard you're good at it. It was really cute. Melanie having Sincere go back and forth for the juice had me dying. Dying. That man may be a dog, but she was walking him. And then after the prank challenge, they all get to go to the water slide, which just sucks because they like they send them to the water park right after they send Melanie and Sincere to the hideaway, which is really fucked up. But Melanie had to like sneak away from the hideaway because they're all like 007 at the night to go to the water park. But it felt fun. You get a lot less like dates on this season, but you got a lot more like girls hanging out with the girls, which was fun. Speaking of them picking Melanie and Sincere to go to the hideaway, I felt like the producers are just trying so hard to like fix the mistake that they made, which is Sincere and KC. And instead of like, the men just dogged this season and they're trying to like find a way to be like, okay, all right, guys, they really fucked up, but like, how do we make it better? And so I'm just annoyed. Like getting Sincere and Melanie go to the hideaway, nobody would like, I cannot physically in my mind imagine that somebody was like, this is the best couple to go to the hideaway. Even Bryce's mom, when they came to visit, were like, you guys should have been the one to go to hideaway. And it was interesting because what you don't see is usually you see them kind of like go back and forth and then be like, oh, I think it should be who and like vote. And everybody was just like, yeah, Melanie Sincere. And they just cheered it. Okay. Producers are working real hard. Um, and then you see Sincere hyping himself about not being toxic and I'm not toxic. This isn't toxic. We're not in a toxic relationship. Them making sure that like they show that. I hope that we're showing it to show how delulu he is. But there was also the article about by Germa, and she wrote about how Corbin got voted out. Part of the reason why he probably got voted out was because the producers didn't like the fact that they call out this Melanie thing and they want this Melanie and Sincere thing to be like a love story. And the only reason why anybody wants it to be like a love story is because that's the only way to make up for how fucked up he did her. And that was that. Then they're really leaning into this TT, KC stuff. They have not had, not a problem. Even though when they were doing the heartbreak challenge, when they're voting off the least compatible, like the contestants, the couples had to vote off the least compatible, you could see that TT and Casey were not liking each other in that moment. They have not shown, honestly, anything of TT and Casey other than them showing the whole I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend thing, which at the point I was talking to my coworker and we're like, the show's about to end. Like at this point, it holds no weight. You're all getting kicked off in a week. Like those are, it definitely felt like this is my last sell to like get you there and like convince you guys are really cute, but you truly don't actually get to see a lot of TT and Casey's interactions throughout the rest of the time after they got there. And I'm happy that they made it a couple, but I still remember, like, I feel like what they're trying to do, they're trying to make us forget how bad It was. How bad Casey treated Aniya, how bad Sincere treated Melanie. And I'm not here for it. I don't want to forgive and forget when someone's dogged me out on national TV. Dog me out in real life, let alone dog me out on national TV is crazy. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, it's okay because they did that. But now everybody's happy. Like, that's no, that's not how this works. Like, why? No, thank you. So everything that they've been doing regarding Casey and Sincere and trying to make them look like that is just, it feels so icky to me. And it feels like, once again, we're ignoring our social responsibility. And this is why I'm so happy that Family Day came. Because with Family Day, we had Trinity and Bryce who were cute. Aniya and Carl's parents were super cute. But the issues that I had, once again, with Casey, so Casey's parents and Casey's mom and Casey's sister do not check him. They're like, oh, we love TT for you. We love this thing. And like, everybody said that Aniya was being so insecure in this relationship with Casey. And I never saw it as insecurity. I saw it as intuition. Instantly, I saw it as intuition. I saw it as her realizing that something was off, peeping that something was off and wanting to call that out. And if you notice with Carl, she's not insecure anymore. And to Casey's ego, if you notice with Casey, he doesn't have to make him feel like he's been chosen because he was chosen anymore. Like, there's things that we pull out of people in certain relationships, but it's how you move about it and how he dogged Casey. And it made me upset that maybe they didn't show it, but it made me upset. Like, the women in Casey's life didn't check him and weren't like, the way that you move wasn't okay. The way that you talked about her wasn't okay. In fact, you should go apologize to her again. Like, I'm happy that you have a connection here, but like, no. And I hate the fact that we big up the KC TT thing because they're a Black couple, ignoring the fact that Aniya is Black too. And we're like, oh, we love Black love. But what about when Casey was with Aniya? What about when Casey was dogging Aniya? Like, we can't forget what one person did to Black women just because they're happy with another Black woman. They still dog Black women. And like, that's the thing that I wish TT focused on more. And I was happy that Amora focused on during movie night when she said, like, imagine seeing this and still trying to be with him. Like, that's crazy. Like, she saw it in real time and was still trying to be with him. And she realized, like, that's crazy. I love that TT loves Casey down. I don't like the fact that it's just swept under the rug how he treated Aniya. And you're going to be like, they had conversations. But I mean, like, and overall in the thing, it's swept. And I know that we have to be more jolly, but like, I don't like the way the production is moving. I don't like the way America is moving with it and just pretending like it's all okay. Like, it's not. It's not to me. But Casey got off easy, but you know who didn't? Sincere. And I love this. I say this all the time. The only way that we can grow is that the people, like, as a society, is that the people who we relate to, who fit into our demographic, are the ones that checked us. Like, white people checking white people about racism, women checking women about what they're doing, men checking men about what they're doing. And that comes from home. Someone recently made a comment in my thing about look, I told you guys, my comment section, y'all just follow me on TikTok. Just look at the comment sections because the comment sections be wild. Someone made a comment about how they hate that these women feel that I felt this way and that men are being like this and seems like their mothers should raise them better. And my response was, well, maybe their fathers shouldn't be. Hold on, I have to find it. I have to find it because it was just too fucking perfect. It legitimately was like too fucking perfect. I feel like they deleted it, which is funny. But one person did say something about where and when have Black men been hyping themselves about mistreating women? And he said, we're the proof of this. And I said, modern day watch Love Island. Big facts. I'm trying to find this other one, but I can't find it. Oh no, it wasn't on TikTok. It was on Instagram. That's where it was. We have figured it out, guys. He says, I don't know what's going on with the dating pool of black men. Somewhere there has been a disconnect with their mothers and learning how to treat their women. My response was, maybe if their dads weren't dogs, abusers, or John Cena. Because how dare you blame women once again for the way that men are treating like women? Like, that's insane. So I loved that Sincere and Melanie's parents came in correct. And I love the way that Melanie's sister came in. I would have came in the same way, but I loved the way that Sincere's dad came. And it was very clear that raising his son is so important to him, and how his son treats women and people is so important to him. Like, that is a good pillar of what parenting could and should be. Like, he really gave a fuck. And he was like, I don't want to come because of how you were treating her, because of how you looked on, how you were acting. I didn't raise you this way. And like, even his younger brother is like, yeah, you were really like messed up. And Sincere really thought that his parents were going to come in and be like, hey, you got a good one with Melanie. And he was in for a rude awakening. He got the truth. The truth is, you've been dogging her. Stop doing it. And I love that his father was so honest with him. And you guys may be like, well, parents are supposed to like hype you up. Yeah, sometimes, but they're supposed to call you out when you're doing your shit. And his father being like, no, you would be lucky to still have her. She should not be with you anymore. She should not stay with you. If she leaves you, you can't be upset about it because this is what you did. And I was like, damn, he not wrong. But damn, but he not wrong. Because he's not wrong. The way that you moved, the way that you acted, you don't deserve her. And Melanie's family said the same thing. And that was like, just really sad to see like because Melanie really thought that her mom was going to like Sincere. And she thought that like, like it was going to be a happier moment. And she didn't get that moment. And that was really sad to see for her. But like, I don't know, guys. It's just, even Aniya's mom called it out. And Aniya's mom was like, you need to be honest. Team Sincere is bullshit. Like, I love the parents that called out. And like, to me, that is always like the great parenting. Like the parents and the siblings that kept people like honest. Zach's siblings kept him honest about how he felt about Kata. And they're like, you love her. You're just not ready to say it yet. And that's okay. Um, Carl's mom was like, we loved you from the moment we saw you on their screen. I was like, that could be my new daughter-in-law. I love those moments. I hated that with Casey and Titi, we really didn't get any of those moments because there was beauty in it, but there weren't like, to me, there wasn't an honesty. But with Sincere and Melanie, they saved it for last because they knew that it was going to be honest. And it was. And like, it was well deserved. They deserved it. They deserved everything that happened. And it made me sad to see Melanie break down once again. But her sister is right. Your light is dimming. You're giving all these, they said something about you giving all these chances to someone who only needs, when you could give the chance to someone else who only needs one chance. Like, the amount of time you spend wasting it on someone who's dogging you is the amount of time you spend wasting not finding the right person for you. And I really love that. And to kind of close it off with the Melanie and Sincere, like, even when his dad was there, you could tell that he got it more. But before that, you could tell Sincere just didn't get it. He just didn't want to be honest. Like, he's just lying to himself. And I don't know where it's coming from. And in this last episode, he related to him being in competitive sports and him not being able to be good unless, he was down and out. And like, that's something that you really should fucking examine. But like, again, him talking about how it's not toxic and all of these things, he just doesn't get it. And I see why everybody's confused. I say this all the time. One of my exes was a terrible boyfriend, was a really good human. And those things, two things can be true at once. Sincere is not a terrible person. I just think wherever his insecurities lie and whatever he's trying to figure out, he hasn't figured it out. And even he says, I figured it out, but it came at the expense of a person. I don't think he has it completely figured out yet. I think he's figured out that he's doing something wrong, but I don't know if everything's clicked yet. And I don't want him to be here. And, you know, I don't like that love has to be about how much bullshit someone can take and we call it love. Like, maybe it's because I'm not married or whatever, but I've been in relationships and maybe because my relationships were really toxic, but I don't like the relationships where we just dump and dump and dump and dump and dump. And we just feel like, how much can this person take? And if they can take it, then it's love. That happened to me in my abusive relationship. And he sexually abused me. And I was so not in the know because it was coming in a sense of like safe play, but it wasn't safe play. And he was really trying to hurt me. And he said towards the end of my visit with him, like, yeah, I just want to see if how much of pain you can take from me, how much of this barrier I can break down of you, because then I know you'll be here. We shouldn't have to take abuse to be loved. Like, that's something that I want all of us to see from Love Island, especially with the Aniya and Carl situation. There's no toxicity there. There's no abuse there. Even with, Trinity and Bryce, they care about each other so much without having to push each other to these deepest, darkest limits. And there are ways that you can survive a relationship by being honest, by being vulnerable, by going through hard times that are like letting someone see you at your weakest to build a relationship up that doesn't have to involve hurting the other person in the relationship. And I get that Melanie feels like the connection is strong, but one day she's going to look back on this. And this is me speaking from experience. One day she's going to look back on this and see how small she made herself. I look back on my videos during that time for my last abusive relationship and I don't like the way I look. And I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do it. I look like a sick version of myself to me is what I see, like a sick version of myself. And I don't ever want to look that way again. And I felt like I thought I was so happy at that time, but I was ignorant of like how much of my joy and things were being taken from me, and not just but from him, but from everything. And I always say this that like a real connection will make you feel more beautiful. And an insecure connection will make you question how you look all the time. At the end of the day, we've come to basically the end of Love Island. Our last four couples are the core four. So we have Kata, Aniya, Trinity, and Melanie, along with Sincere, Carl, Bryce, and Zach. Everybody thinks it's going to be Trinity and Bryce that win it. I'm not. If I were to pick, I'd pick Aniya and Carl. I'm not voting in this at all. I haven't voted at all, but if I were to pick, I would pick those two. That's just my take on it, but we will see. Um, Today is Sunday and the live will happen before you hear this video. So you guys heard my take, who I want to win. I do love Trinity and Bryce, but there's something about a secure relationship that Carl and Aniya have that is like a goal for me. Although I don't know if Aniya feels Carl all the way yet. I think she still has like reservations, but that'd be my pick, or Zach or Kata. But we already know that Trinity and Bryce are going to win. Unless something upsets me, you guys will hear it. And yeah, don't forget to look for the special bonus episodes that are going to be dropping for Project Runway. I'm going to be doing episode 1 and 2 as a bonus episode available for my paid subscribers on Substack. You guys will be able to hear those first. And then once I switch over fully to episode 3 of Project Runway and everything switches over to Project Runway, those episodes will open up. But if you want to hear my opinion while it's going on, those are going to be available for you guys soon. Until then, thank you so much for listening to Basically Unbothered Recapped. Don't forget to like, share, support, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Gabi Gabs Podcast.